What's up, Perpetualites? Welcome to Literary Vlogs.
And for this video, I am going to answer your frequently asked questions regarding Intoy the Merman of Mariner Street, or in Filipino, Intoy Shokoy ng Calle Marino by Eros Atalia. A lot of you may be shocked upon reading Intoy the Merman of Mariner Street by Eros Atalia. But as a matter of fact, it is a good story for us to start our literary journey in the 21st century literature. So to give you a short background, Intoy the Merman of Mariner Street is a short story that was written by Eros Atalia in 2006. It was also in the same year that it won the Best Short Story at the Don Carlos Palanca Memorial Awards. So who is Eros Atalia? He is a multi-awarded author and he wrote the sensational Ligo na You, Lapit na Mi that was the talk of the town when it became a motion picture in the Philippines, just like Intoy Shokoy or Intoy the Merman of Mariner Street. Now, his works are recognized not just in the Philippines but also in the international scene. As a matter of fact, if you search Intoy the Merman of Mariner Street, you would find it on the website of the University of Iowa. Intoy Shokoy is known for its explicit contents and strong language. That is why a lot of people are afraid that this is not suitable in the classroom setting or that it should not be discussed in a classroom. But as a matter of fact, this characteristic helps vividly display a lot of social issues in the Philippines, like poverty, lack of education, and even prostitution, which has been a sensitive issue. And also, it exhibits the Filipino culture not just on a perspective of a person who is rich, but the perspective of the mass. Okay? So it is showing the Filipino culture on a different perspective.
So now let's go to your frequently asked questions. So the first question that was frequently asked is, what are the parts of the plot in Intoy the Merman of Mariner Street? As we see, the plot itself is uniquely structured. And unlike any other stories, it started with the climax wherein the mussel farmers, including Intoy, try to save their mussels from the alig or red tide, although they weren't able to do so. That is why the tension of the story rises, especially when Intoy narrated or the narration of Intoy shifts from the present time back to the past, where he would share stories of his childhood, his friends, how he met Doray, and how his feelings his feelings for her grew. And the extra narratives that he has given strengthen the plot by showing the real situation of Calle Marino. As you can see, the story ended in a cliffhanger because no one really knows what they did after they closed the door, right? So, when they close the door, it could be that they have made love, just like what Intoy have been unconsciously daydreaming of the whole time, actually when he was trying to save the mussels from the alig. Or it might be that Dora comforted him for what happened to the mussel farm during the day. Of course, it is upon the reader to infer what happened after the ending of the story because it's a cliffhanger and it gives the readers a chance to critically think of an ending for it. Alright, so let's move on to the next question. Second question is, what are the different social issues that are discussed in Intoy the Merman of Mariner Street? The first one is prostitution. This is actually one of the most relevant topics or social issue that was discussed in Intoy. And it is shown in the character of Doray. Doray is surviving by selling her tilapia. And in this story, tilapia is not the kind of fish that you could buy in the market, but a symbol for a woman's private part or body. Now, this is really a sensitive issue. That is why a lot of people could not stand reading the text, but it should be an eye-opener for everyone. And we must know that these things are happening around us. And sadly, most of the Dorays of our society did not really choose to be there. Okay? It is just that it is their only means to survive. And although we should not neglect the fact that in our country, prostitution is still illegal and is still wrong. Okay? But then we should look at how Doray managed to survive in that in that kind of place with only prostitution as a means to feed the mouth of her siblings and of course herself. So that was such a cruel world for Doray, but surprisingly, Intoy sees the beauty in her. Intoy sees something in her that, of course, a lot of people in their place do not, because they know her for being a Doray Langaw. Doray Langaw because she is a really funny at the same time, is buzzing around the place, and talking with a lot of people, is really friendly. Okay, but what Intoy liked about her is the fact that at a very young age, she has worked hard to be able for her to provide for her family and herself. So prostitution is one of the biggest issues that was discussed here in Intoy the Merman of Mariner Street. And second one is lack of education. So lack of education, because we could see that Intoy and his friends did not actually have proper education, and that is the reason why they have to work at an early age. Okay, because they need to survive, they need to eat, and day by day they have to go to the docks in the morning to start fishing and go home with fishes to sell. And same goes for the mussel farmers who invest time, sweat, and money for a bountiful harvest of mussels. Not just that, Intoy's description of Calle Marino and the people there actually shows what kind of life they have. Okay? So here is an example from the text. I would quote, "Many people had migrated there in search of a living. Shoe shiner, seamstress, driver, pimp, whore, salesman, and whatever else in between." So it shows what kind of living or what kind of job the masses have. And the amount of people moving to the city of Cavite increased, hoping to find their fortune in the promise of a better life brought by each ship that drops anchor in the coast of Calle Marino. Transportations improved, populations increased. The wet market expanded. The movie house was raised. Recreation, whoring, gambling. The number of churches increased, which is why the shores of Calle Marino began to be dotted by shanties. Take note of that, shanties, small houses, not mansions, not big buildings, but shanties. So, as the population in that place grows, a lot of people have built their shanties, the small houses in there. So that's the kind of life that they have there. It's really, it's really hard to live in a place like that. I know that for a fact because even I, at an early age, have to live near shanties. Alright? Near spotters area, and that's why I have seen this kind of living, and I should say that it is really hard to live in that kind of place, but the people manage to do that. How? By perseverance, by working day by day to be able for them to have something to eat or to give their children education. So for the third question, we have, what is the relevance of studying this kind of literature? Okay, because this kind of literature is kind of explicit and extreme at the same time. So first, it highlights Filipino culture because this is who we are. This is the reality in the Philippines. It's not all beauty, It's not just more fun in the Philippines just because of the beautiful places in the Philippines or the beautiful sceneries that we have here. It is more fun in the Philippines because even if we encounter hardships in life, the people in the Philippines manage to smile, still stand, even if we have encountered great storm. Right? So it highlights this Filipino culture of being strong at the same time being happy in life. Although there are times that we tend to be down because of all of the difficult stuff that are happening right now. So the second one is it opens our eyes into social issues that are considered taboo. You say taboo, these are issues that are sometimes sensitive, that is why it is not being talked about. So it is now the time to talk about these kinds of issues, because if not, then when are we going to talk about these issues? When are we going to give solution to it, to think about it, to reflect, right? Therefore, this is the right time to talk about these social issues, and we have to be involved. Why? Because we are Filipinos and this is our country, and if we really love our country, then we must do something about all of the challenges and all of the conflicts that are happening in the society right now. In the end, what is important in reading these kinds of texts is actually not the sensitive contents or the structure itself, because most of the times art is being judged by its structure, but what can be seen by the naked eye. But as a matter of fact, there is more to it. These kind of texts have a really good message in it that would help the Filipino people understand our society or our people better. Last Saturday, I have attended a seminar about sensitive literature, or literature that are having sensitive contents. And the speaker is Genaro Golho Cruz. And he have mentioned that it is actually important for us to discuss this type of literature because it helps us widen our perspective regarding the things that are going on in the society right now. And as you can see, these topics may not be studied well in school, but then these are rampant in social media. When you go to YouTube, you may find these contents. When you go to Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, you will see explicit contents there. Well, isn't it really good if we study this in the classroom and somehow process it? Help the children process it instead of them just seeing it on social media sites, seeing it on their Instagram, their Twitter, and commenting about it without even processing these things, without even knowing what to do about these things, and afterwards they're gonna apply it in their lives. So you see, it has a huge impact to the youth. Therefore, it is really good that we study these kinds of texts right now, talk about it, to be able for us to guide our children on whatever they're reading. Because even if we do not impose this to them, even if we do not give this to them, they will be reading this. They would be seeing it where? On Wattpad. They would be seeing these kinds of texts on their Facebook, on pages on Facebook that shows literature like this. Alright? So I guess it is timely and relevant for us to discuss this kind of text, not just because it is entertaining, but it's because of the fact that it's an eye-opener for everyone, and it could help us well in the development of our country. The fourth question is, does Calia Marino really exist in Cavite? And what about the characters? Do they really exist? Now, I would like to have Mr. Eros Atalia to answer that. I actually asked for a video from him to give you a perspective or his own perspective regarding the text that he have written. Now, let us have Mr. Atalia's video.
Hi, magandang araw sa lahat ng mga estudyante ni Ma'am Sherry Anlugto sa 21st Century Literature. Pinag-uusapan niya raw yung maikling kwento kong naisulat noong 2006 na si Intoy ng Calia Marino. Tama, nanalo yan sa Palangka nung the same year din. No? Malapit sa puso ko yung kwentong yan kasi parang extension yan ng pagkatao ko. Yung Calia Marino, talaga nag-i-exist yung lugar na yan. No? At yung mga tauhan na sinulat ko, halos karamihan sa kanila nag-i-exist sa tuwing na buhay. Iba nga dyan, mga kababata ko. Feeling ko, tuwing nagsusulat ako, lagi yung bumabalik sa Calia Marino. May tauhan ako na laging taga Calia Marino. Kaya naman para sa akin yung Intoy Shokoy, isa sa pinakamahalagang naisulat ko kasi dyan ako kumukuha ng materyales kahit anong ginagawa ko sa ngayon na sinusulat. Dialogue, setting, mga tauhan, lagi at lagi bumabalik ko sa Calia Marino. Yan lugar kasi yan napakamakulay. Sinusukat ng kapangyarihan sa lakas ng boses, tibay ng kamao, lalim ng bulsa. Pinatibay ng dumi ng hangin, dumi ng dagat, ang aming mga baga. Pinatigas ang mga buto namin sa panunulay sa mga kawayan at paglalambitin sa mga andamyon. Alam ng bawat isa sa amin ang sikreto ng bawat isa. dahil magkakadikit yung aming mga bahay. Pero inililihim namin na naghihirap kami sa aming mga buhay. Sa kabila ng lahat, nagsusumikap kami na maitawid ang buhay sa pang-araw-araw. Kaya para sa akin, ang Kali Marino ay isang malaking balon ng inspirasyon at mga materyales. Kaya naman ang Intoy Showcase ng Kali Marino, para sa akin, isa ito sa pinakamahalagang gawa ko dahil dito ako nagsimula, dito ako unang-unang kong palangka, dito ko napatunayan na kahit papaano, kahit kung magsulat ng something na literary. So, enjoy nyo lang po ang pagbabasa ng Intoy Showcase ng Kali Marino. Maraming salamat sa inyong lahat. Salamat din sa teacher nyo at pinababasa kayo ng ilang akda na sinusulat ko. Salamat ulit. Bye-bye!
Thank you for watching. This has been Miss Anne, your 21st century literature teacher for Literary Vlogs.